Hello, my name is Matthew Genslinger, pastor at the New Church of Concord, and I'm here to tell you what we talked about in church this last Sunday. So when the Lord was in this world, he told many parables or little stories that help us better understand what heaven is like and what we need to do if we want to someday go to heaven. So on Sunday, we read one of these parables from the Gospel of Luke, where the Lord tells us that the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. And you can see here, a little bowl of mustard seeds. Mustard seeds are very small seeds. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to zoom in here a little bit on it, or focus on that. You see that little seed? You could buy these mustard seeds at a store if you want to ask your mom or dad to get you some. A mustard seed, very little. So again, in this parable, you'll see that the Lord tells us that the kingdom of heaven is like one of these mustard seeds. Okay? So let me read this parable to you from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 11. Now another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least or the smallest of all the seeds. But when it is grown, it is greater than the herbs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. Amen. So again, a mustard seed. In this parable, the Lord is telling us that heaven is kind of like something, a mustard seed, that starts off very small, but eventually grows into something very large or big. So why did the Lord tell us that heaven is like a mustard seed? Well, to understand this, I want you to think for a minute about angels. Okay? Now, one of the things that makes angels angels is that angels have two things inside of them. Angels, number one, have a lot of wisdom, right? Angels know a lot of things about the Lord and his word. And number two, angels also have a lot of love in their hearts. They love the Lord more than anything else. And they also have a lot of love in their hearts for each other or for their neighbor. Now, I assume that you want to someday become an angel, right? I certainly want to someday become an angel in the Lord's heavenly kingdom. But let me ask you this. When you were first born, or when I was first born, or when anybody is first born, do they have a lot of wisdom? When somebody is first born, do they have a lot of wisdom? Do they know a lot of things? Well, the answer to that question is no. A little child hardly knows anything about the Lord or his word, or really anything about the world in which they have just been born. And the same thing, if you think about it, is true when it comes to love. Because a little child or a newborn baby really doesn't know much about the Lord, doesn't have much wisdom, they also don't love the Lord very much. You can't really love somebody that you don't know. So again, when we are born, we only have a little bit of wisdom. And we have a little bit of love in our hearts. Just like mustard seeds are very small before they're planted and grow into a tree. Now, just because we only have a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of love in our hearts when we're born, does that mean that the Lord doesn't love us and that he doesn't care about us? Absolutely not. The Lord still loves us. And in fact, with all of his heart and with all of his mind and with all of his strength, he is always working to help our wisdom or our love grow as we become older and as we work to prepare to someday become an angel in the Lord's heavenly kingdom. So again, even though our wisdom and our love start off very small like a mustard seed, just like a mustard seed eventually grows into a tree, our wisdom and our love also grow as we allow the Lord to prepare us for a place in his heavenly kingdom. Okay, so it's a very short parable and a pretty simple one. The Lord compares heaven to something that starts off small, but then grows into something very big. And I want you to think this week about how the Lord's trying to tell us here that, heaven is heaven in part because angels have a lot of love and a lot of wisdom in their hearts and minds. And even though we only start off with a little bit of love and a little bit of wisdom, if we keep following the Lord, if we keep working to follow his commandments and trust in him, he will eventually be able to take that little bit of love and wisdom we have and turn it into something big and beautiful, as again, we become also angels in the Lord's heavenly kingdom. All right, so I hope you enjoyed thinking about mustard seeds this week, and I look forward to talking with you next week about another wonderful story from the Lord's Word.